Hello, good people of the world. Welcome back. It's another episode of Kaleidospoke with myself, Richie Rich, and the one and only Aaron Double F. How you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm Aaron Double F. I think I got just one, F in my name. But okay, I'll take double. It's cool.
Double F sounds better. I mean,
fair.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or double
anyway,
A.
Double A, yeah. Just, yep. Could be. Double A agent. Just make it up as you go along.
Why not?
Why not? Anyway, I hope everyone is well and happy and dandy. It is spring. We are definitely in spring, and yeah, life is good. Things are opening up. Things are changing. The future's bright. If you haven't followed us on Instagram and Twitter, check us out. We are at Kaleidospoke You can just get all the good stuff, all the updates via those channels. And if you haven't subscribed, please hit that button. Please tell your friends. Please send us some Bitcoin. Please. Anyway, all right, enough begging. Let's get on with the show. All right, so today we are going to be covering a recent sort of monumental event that happened in the crypto space, which is dear to our hearts, as many listeners would know, which was the Coinbase listing. Now, this company called Coinbase has been around since 2012, and it's an exchange wallet, for all these cryptocurrencies, and it listed on the, I think it's NASDAQ, the American stock market, at over $100 billion. That's like Dr. Evil, esque $100 billion. And who would have thought, right? A company that's 9 years old, worth $100 billion. My goodness. So, there's a lot of stuff out there. Obviously, Bitcoin's in its prime, all-time highs this year. The market's buoyant as ever, and they've come out at a good time, clearly. And so the question is, what does this mean? Aaron, do you think this is a significant? Is this the mark of a change? Is this going to be the time we look back and say this was almost the start of the .com era, or some of a paradigm shift? Or what's your views?
It's interesting because on our Instagram, I think the day of the listing, I posted a story, and it says something along the lines of, I'm going to paraphrase myself, something along the lines of, shit is about to get weird now. And then literally that week, Bitcoin dipped. The volatility was wild, and it's really difficult to understand why things move in the cryptocurrency world, because everyone will kind of put a big move down to one single event, Turkey bans crypto, or some random country bans crypto. That's why it's gone down. But actually, it's just it's all after the fact. Everyone's just trying to draw a link between two things. But yeah, I think this Coinbase going public is a big event. It is kind of like a big turning point for crypto, mainly because actually, it kind of gives the green light on, some institutions kind of getting into crypto through Coinbase. So yeah, it's a big thing, I think. And I remember getting back in crypto in 2017, and Coinbase was first point of call. And I think for most people that are in crypto now, they would have had some type of interaction with Coinbase. I think potentially going forward, some people will have interaction with Coinbase only, and yeah. So here we are in the post IPO, Coinbase going public world. How's it feeling?
Yeah, I know. Like it's another one of those things that's going. Well, we feel like it's going to help mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies, and arguably it's been hugely speculative up until now, and it probably will continue to be, which is the interesting part, right? Like this company's been built on this speculative asset class, where the unknown is very unknown almost. I mean, many people might think that it's clear for something like Bitcoin, but for other sort of crypto tokens, it's like yeah, like sounds good, but the mainstream adoption is doesn't quite reflect the price that it holds. So yeah, it's interesting how this company's been built up on that, and there's so much demand for this world, this asset class, this speculative thing. And they're making huge amounts of money. I mean, like, I think 1.1 billion of revenue in 2020, which is huge. But obviously at a valuation at 100 plus billion, they're 100 times sales. So again, that's a big sort of multiple. But yeah, Coinbase has been the gateway to crypto drug. The crypto, what do you call it? Like the trap house.
The crypto bando.
Crypto bando. Literally, like I remember in 2017-18 we was in this game, and then you kept asking the question, how do you get out? How do you get out? What's the strategy to come out of this game? Because it's addicting. It's like it's too crazy.
Oh, dude, have you seen CZ, the CEO of Binance? Have you seen his Instagram? It's crazy. No. He's like he sold his house. He doesn't even want a house. He doesn't want a car. All he wants is crypto. And this guy's a billionaire. He only wants crypto. He doesn't want to buy houses. He doesn't want to buy cars. He doesn't want to buy. I don't know if he wants to buy women, but I'm this guy has so much faith in crypto, or so addicted to crypto that everything else is noise. And hey, I don't want to confirm whether or not I'm the same. But I can see why one would feel that way about crypto. But back to Coinbase, what's quite interesting is that I think that the owner, when he sold quite a few of his shares as they went public, right? I think more than half. And a ton of people were like, "Oh, he's dumping his shares. He's dumped." And dump is a word that gets flung around so freely. Like dump and sell aren't exactly the same thing. And I think imagine back into 2012 when cryptocurrencies were in its infancy. Bitcoin was probably 3 figures, if that. This guy and a handful of people set this up, and they've been running with it for the best part of 10 years. When it goes public, of course he should sell a ton of his stock. It's time to enjoy some of the work that he's been putting in for the last 10 years. I mean, it's quite interesting because I think, crypto is a kind of community-led initiative. Even the concept of Bitcoin is about people. It's not necessarily it's an asset class, yes, but it's also about people taking control of kind of their financial well-being, without anybody intervening. So it's a community thing, but this community is got a lot to say. And when a guy who's founded arguably the biggest exchange in crypto decides that he's actually going to cash out half of his stuff and become a billionaire, the the community have something to say about that, as they do usually, so hey,
Of
but
course, it's a movement. Like, it's like if and everyone had sort of very big eyes on this event, because and even me, I was like, this could go two ways. It can either, if it tanks, it doesn't look good on crypto and Bitcoin. But if it absolutely like skyrockets, then it could be like, oh, okay, everyone's getting in on this, and this is an opportunity for the big institutions to get in on it, etc. But yeah, all movements, like in the crypto world, all movements are monitored. Like, there's people watching everything, and of course the Twitter world, they've always got something to say, always. And so, because people are very, very passionate about your Dogecoins, your and all sorts. So if this affects their bag, they're definitely going to be they're definitely going to be passing comments.
For sure. And like there's, like in any community these days, you'll have like these people that I think I'm laughing before I'm even saying it. You'd be in a group or something, or like at least back in 2017 in our first cycle, where you might be in a particular project and you'd outwardly lie. And I'm going to say it's an outward lie to say, oh, I'm in it for the tech, right? And you'll get those types of people, right, coming out and saying, oh, like, my man, how could he dump half his shares, and he's just in it to grab his bag and go, even though this is their first cycle. It's a vocal community, put it that way. But now he's joined the billionaires club, as he rightfully should. I did say, I do think things instantly got volatile. I mean, crypto's volatile anyway, but after that, things got pretty volatile. Things are still volatile currently. And I think sometimes with volatility mixed with bad stories, which is called FUD in this world, you always have the kind of call from some for regulation. So, and the crypto market is an unregulated market, to a degree. I mean, mainly unregulated. I think the people those that tend to regulate it are the very companies that are in it. So it's kind of like, there's not a kind of overarching financial body saying, you guys in crypto have to do this or abide by this, No. But in your mind, what do you think the attempt to regulate crypto would look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some regulation around, but I think it'd have to be on a principle basis. So because crypto is global and decentralized in its nature, I think it'd have to be sort of principle based, because it's changing so fast that regulators can't keep up, and so you have to come with sort of a principled approach in order to be a catch-all type in the spirit of guidance. And a lot of these, that's why Coinbase done pretty well. They seeked like regulatory guidance, and they were kind of at the forefront, and in all the countries that they kind of entered, to kind of make sure that they're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and are safe, and have sort of certainty. I think, crypto just has to be principle based, and what that looks like, who knows? Because a lot of these exchanges are Chinese based, or in Asia, and it's 24/7. I guess it's even part of the reason why I think the US, they can't invest in certain coins. They can't participate in certain coins and tokens, because it's deemed, I don't know, security or the regulation isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah.
When there is regulation at the point like where it's clear, then these coins and tokens can get listed on these, US exchanges.
Yeah. 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 Again, it's really interesting because, each kind of country or geographic area has its own kind of financial regulatory body. And I think at the tail end of 2020, the SEC in the States, they launched their case against Ripple, who have the XRP token, right? And that is arguably, the attempt at regulation for crypto in a way. But it's funny because we've been in this game for a while, and XRP, well, Ripple with the XRP token as a security, which is, could it be? That's the question. That's the tip of the iceberg in crypto. Do you know what I mean? That's like,
oh yeah,
that's a minor. We're talking about in the crypto in 2017 ICOs. That was, I think the SEC clamped down on that. Because people were literally, stealing. There was no other way to put it. It was theft. It was like, here's a picture. I want everybody to send some money, and on this thing that I've created here, I've got a whole white paper, I've got everything, and it's going to be the next Bitcoin, the next X coin, whatever you want to call it. And we're here's a team. We're going to work really hard on making it happen. So if you send it, you'll be a part of it, and this is the crowd sell to make it happen. And then give it a couple of weeks, and people go missing. And that was regular. That was just regular. So
rugs are being pulled everywhere.
Oh yeah, and what? Rug pulls is a new term. We'll get into that a little bit later on, I think. But it's this market is I don't know. I personally don't know how any kind of regulatory body will go about trying to regulate this. I don't know. I think governments now are incorporating crypto into taxes. So I think in some scenarios, there's capital gains tax on some of your earnings from crypto, especially if you're a trader. I think things get a bit different there. But I think these guys are wanting their piece because they understand that actually, no, people that are in crypto, they don't really need an institution in this. We're kind of all right. So they're finding ways to try to get involved.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a tax interest or a economic interest for the government to kind of oversee what's going on. And I think that's probably one of their biggest worries. One of them is protection, which you mentioned about the ICO. Another one is taxation. And I think that's like typically it. Like they want to make sure that they're getting paid and like money's not being swindled everywhere. And in the likes of like, for example, China, it's like capital control, right? They don't want like money to just like leave China just like easily. And so, yeah, when it comes down to tax, I mean, because I imagine there's a lot of people that are not completely declaring or not liquidating or back into dollars purely for that reason. To just keep it in Monero. Nobody knows. But yeah, I think the regulatory space is going to be interesting. And there's another scenario of, could Bitcoin ever be I guess regulated out? Could there be like a global coercion with all the governments to the point where they say, this is FUD, right? This is FUD talk right now.
Yeah,
where they say all Bitcoin holders are sort of, breaking the law. You have to relinquish your Bitcoin.
I mean, but
This is
then
the biggest
how?
FUD moment.
But yeah, okay. I'm gonna run with this FUD moment. But then, but then, number one, how do they get those Bitcoin holders to give up, like by force, give up their what their codes, their keys, as we call them? Like, how can you do that?
Remember, Bitcoin is public, right? Like the blockchain is public. You can link your IP address to transactions and potentially like addresses.
Sure. But imagine you store your Bitcoin on one of your ledger wallets, right? And they don't have your ledger wallet. Suppose you buried it in your garden somewhere, and they're gonna need the keys in order to get to that. Do you know what I mean? They're gonna need the ledger itself. But let's suppose they don't, yeah, and they just need your private keys. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna hold a gun to your head? They could say, all right, you got to go to jail for 5 years. If you're sitting on 10 Bitcoin, then okay, all right, then that's all right. I'll just let it mature while I'm in jail.
But the appeal of Bitcoin will not be as because obviously right now you've got big institutions coming into it.
Sure.
So if there was to be the scenario, then these institutions wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. This is like the ultimate FUD, and I would say,
but look,
pretty unlikely. But
look, is the reason why Bitcoin has gone up the way it has is because of institutional investment? Is that the reason? Because ultimately, I'm not saying I don't know the answer to that question. Because ultimately, Bitcoin has been climbing in price for a while now, and again, isn't it down to the community that buy and believe into Bitcoin? The reason why the price is rising? And okay, so let's say you outlaw Bitcoin for some reason. Unless you replace it with something, wouldn't that just make it more valuable?
Possibly. I mean, but I think perhaps in the medium long run, perhaps. But then if it becomes a bit more dark market, black market kind of thing.
Yes.
If this scenario was to occur, but anyway,
sure.
I doubt that's in the interest of regulators, but the government and sort of sovereignty and all that kind of stuff. So, you never know.
I mean, look, man. Here's the true reality is I cannot see any government being flipped effectively with Bitcoin for fiat. Like I can't see them allowing that to happen willingly. I can't see that. I imagine that. I mean, and it happens, right? It happens all the time, and this is the FUD that we hear. Oh, India's banned crypto. Okay. Oh, Turkey's now banned crypto. Okay, you got hyperinflation in Turkey. It's quite ironic that you're banning crypto. It's something that could probably help the citizens there. But okay, fine. How do you ban it? I don't get how that works. I just can't see how it works.
I mean that is the appeal of decentralized.
Yes.
Coins.
Yeah. 100%. And again, like this is probably the appeal of. Sorry, this is probably. I don't know the reason why. It's sexy, man. It's just sexy. And that's why people like it. It's sexy. It's like, oh, well, do you want to be in control of your own life? Yes, I do. All right. You know what? Abandon your fiat. Okay, I'll try. Okay, yeah. All right, buy Bitcoin. Okay, cool. What is it? Oh, it doesn't matter what it is. Just buy it and it goes up in price. Okay, how much? 10,000%. Oh shit, I'm in. That was random.
Bullion, go ape.
Yes. Yeah. Crazy.
Well, talking of big ape coins and opportunities, let's turn our focus to the new kid on. Well, it's not even the new kid on the block, but the new mania. That what's vogue is the Doge. The Doge is vogue, and all these meme coins essentially, right? So tell us what are these meme coins and why are they mooning? Because they've just been going crazy recently.
They've been going crazy, and I think it's because Doge is the leader in this realm. Ever since Elon got behind Doge, it's been doing things that people just never thought it would do, and the whole thing was set up as a joke. It's just a community trying to, make sure that this particular coin goes as high as it can. There's an unlimited supply. There's no fundamental basis as to why this particular asset does anything. It doesn't do anything. The whole thing's a joke. But Elon Musk got behind the joke, and this guy. I was listening to something the other day. This guy is the richest man in the world. Do you understand what that means? Of all of them, 7 billion. They're not just men, but he's the richest person in the world, right? 7 billion. It kind of fluctuates between him and Jeff Bezos. But of all the people in the world, this man shills Doge. Dogecoin, the joke. The joke of the cryptocurrency world. He shills it. And the price just goes ballistic. Ballistic. I think from this time last year, Doge was probably like, what? I don't know, 1/100th of a cent. So I honestly, I just made that up. I had no idea. Like last year, I was not looking at Doge. I always thought everybody in the cryptocurrency world knew that Doge was a joke. And now it's something very serious. The whole market cap is worth $50 billion, which is more than many blue chip companies. I think I saw something the other day. It's like worth more than Barclays Bank at the moment, which is crazy.
Bank for New York, Credit Agricole, like these actual banks that does stuff.
Do you know banks? Bank is not like a company. I know a bank is a company, but a bank is something that holds money. Do you know what I mean? Like that is its whole business is money. So yeah, right. So okay. So in light of Doge, doing the things it's done, the crypto community has thought, why is it limited to Doge? How about we just start within kind of small subgroups? Why don't we just set up another Doge-like coin and, get the community to back it? And using the community will gain enough holders, followers, investors to pump this coin so we all get rich. That's the idea anyway. So
that's the idea.
Let me read off some of these names, right? So we've got Safe Moon, Safe Mars, Elongate. Listen to this one. Doge Elon Mars. Fast Moon. And two I'm particularly proud of because I'm ashamedly in them. Kishu and Shiba, which are just other dogs. They're just other dogs. I don't know. It's like Doge 2.0. And, they don't do anything. None of these coins do anything. However, in all seriousness, this is where the serious part comes in. The serious part is, all right, this is another consensus thing. So if you have enough people investing in it, the value of the coin goes up. So everybody that's invested in it gets rich. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like these particular assets represent how powerful a community can be, and that's what Doge actually represents. It represents actually, we're all going to get behind this idea and we're going to invest in it and we're going to go for it. And eventually, if we all stay the course, we'll get rich.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like capitalism encapsulated, which is amazing. Which is actually it's amazing. I actually think it's probably the best joke played in the capital world for a long time.
No, it's a good point, but yeah, I think this is this is great. Then this is the hopium of crypto, right? It's like, you know, you could make quite, you know, substantially life changing money for many, because crypto, you know, you can anyone can access it from anywhere around the world. All you need is an internet connection, and so you have a lot of people from participating from, you know, countries like India or Philippines or Indonesia or Africa, where, you know, perhaps opportunities aren't vast, or, you know, work opportunities, but they can invest just maybe $10 or $100, or, you know, whatever they have, and these returns can be in the thousands of percent, and, you know, change their course, and it has for many. And I think that's the hope that these sort of meme coins and this community sense of community has brought, and that's the power. And that's, as he's kind of mentioned, like talking about regulations stopping this. I think it's too momentumous to stop, especially in all its shapes and sizes. And yeah, I mean, you know, Dogecoin's, as you say, like 50 billion plus, and people are now looking at, and it's been going on for a while, right? It's been going on for a good amount of years. And the coin, you can buy millions of them, right? And all that coin needs to do is go up to, as you kind of mentioned, it was like last year, I think it was like 0.02, like 20th of a cent. And now, and its all-time high was like 40 cents. So that is a multiple that is unheard of in a short period of time, all things considered. So yeah, I mean, this is powerful. And I think, you know, these other coins, literally, a lot of them are probably like literal replicas, but it almost feels like, you know, how you had Doge in this meme, right? This dog meme. I forget, like, it's a Japanese kind of dog. It's like the internet, right? The internet in the 90s, everyone's like watching cat videos, or even in the 2000s, right? Everyone loves cat videos and dog videos. And that gets that shit goes viral, right? And it's a similar thing with these coins, these meme coins. You know, a lot of people are making images and GIFs and all this kind of stuff to help it go viral, to help spread the word. And that's the internet culture. And I think that's the power around this sort of niche market.
I mean, it's like you mentioned, that's a really good analogy, you know, of how the internet kind of started. And it would start with a kind of small group of people, usually really intelligent but fringe people. And, you know, they'd start this thing and the community grows, and before you know it, it's a kind of thing, and people join the community, and then before you know it, you got a kind of face of the community, which, you know, in Doge's case is Elon Musk. And, you know, this thing gets more and more traction. And you can see it in a lot of the meme coins. They all have like a Telegram group, and you can see the kind of organic growth in that group. You know, you look one day and it has 3,000 members. You look next week and it's got 7. And then you look at how many people are actually holding the coin, and it's going up. It's going up. And it's simply through, you know, spreading memes or commenting on people's Facebooks, and, you know, and it's interesting because, you know, memes these days, they're such an amazing marketing tool. You know, like, there's a ton of companies that will have memes that have kind of like gone viral, and it's just kind of pushed the company. And this is in the mainstream, but, you know, these guys are utilizing memes in order to kind of push the awareness of these particular assets. And you know, when you're in them, yeah. When you're in them, you're not necessarily sure why you're in them, because, you know, if you're half a savvy investor, usually there's something you want to kind of justify as to why you're in it. Like, what does it do? But if you know the answer, it doesn't do anything, and you're still in it, then there has to be. You have to find something that is, that makes you believe that the price will go up. And in these particular assets, it's simply that the community behind it are so adamant about pushing it. That's what you're believing in, which actually cuts out the middleman. It cuts out what it does. It doesn't have to do anything at that point. If you've got enough people that are buying into it and, pushing it and behind it, then who cares what it does? It doesn't do anything. Price goes up. And, again, I think that's quite an ironic take on, an asset. It doesn't have to do anything as long as enough people say, yeah, we like it. That's it.
That's it.
Interesting.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. I think also there's this kind of way, this kind of explanation of Bitcoin that I think it was Mike Saylor who kind of speaks of this, but he kind of talks about Bitcoin as this energy, right? It's economic energy. And almost it is, if you think about all the electric that it takes to mine Bitcoin, all of that is this energy that's being used. And if you think about, humans, we are this ball of energy. We collectively, we make up teams and companies, and then that companies make up economies make up, the world, etc. What kind of pushes these coins up is belief, is hopium, is energy. So when you've got sort of greater numbers and a scale and all these memes are flying here, then everywhere, all of that is energy. And I think that's why some of this stuff is, it does fly, because the traction, because the energy that it attracts. And a lot of these coins, what's the one that we got the other day? And it's like 100 quadrillion, coins that are available. And so we literally bought like a billion, 2 billion or something like that.
Bro, do you know how much Kishu I have? I counted it the other day. Do you know how much Kishu I have? I have 2.8 trillion.
Wow. Really?
And yeah. It's like trillion. It's ridiculous.
Just 1p. That's all you need. 1 cent.
I didn't. Yeah. Oh, bro, 1 cent. It's a wrap. I'm. You know what I'm gonna do? If it ever gets to 1 cent, I'm gonna buy Colombia. I'm just gonna buy it in that currency as well.
Oh wow! Take my Shiba. Do you take Shiba?
Right. Oh mate, it's interesting, but it isn't all kind of like, flowers and roses, is it? And we got this whole rug pull scenario, which is, it's in relation to liquidity. When you decide, actually, oh wow, my Kishu's gone up so much that actually I want to take some out and put it into Ethereum, or take some out and buy a Ferrari, or take some out and do something, and it gets, transaction doesn't work. Oh, why? Oh, not enough liquidity in the thing, right? And then you say, okay, right, rather than taking out 10 ETH, I'll take out 1. Oh, transaction doesn't work. Not enough liquidity. And then you say, okay, wait. I have $100,000 in this. And you're saying I can't take out 2.5. All right, let's get down to $100. Oh, no, not enough liquidity. So, and then before you know it, you watch the price dwindle all the way down. Until actually, you realize, oh no, I've been done here, and that is commonplace. That is commonplace in crypto as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's I hate to admit, but that is rife in meme coins, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's hey, this is not safe. It's not safe over here. A lot of people end up holding heavy bags because actually there was never going to be a way to get out of that.
No, that's why you got to stay frosty, man. Stay frosty. Yeah. I mean, it's endless, that the amount of rug pulls that are out there. And, you know, even if because these projects, right, a lot of them are named similar, or the rug pulls have literally just copy and pasted the name, and then there's a different contract number. And so if you find the wrong contract number, enter that in something like Uniswap or this like decentralized exchange, you buy it, you think you bought that one, but you bought something else. Like, there's so many ways and so many shysters out there. It's wild, wild west for sure. That's why I guess with all of this stuff, you got to have like micro bets. If you're gonna go in, just go micro as much as possible. And sure. And this is the thing, right? You could go micro with your bet and actually come out very, very, very rewarded if it goes the right direction, because the percentage increases are, if you're expecting like the thousands of percent increases, then you know a small bet could turn into a very big one. True. You know, relatively.
Yeah, it's very true, man. It's very true. And yeah, no, totally right. Totally right. It's a risk, right? It's a risk. And we talk about it quite a lot, you know, in, you know, diversification versus concentration. We tend to have that conversation quite a lot. But ultimately, if you're in something this wild, and that's crypto as a whole, you have to be prepared to lose everything. You have to be. Otherwise, the types of decisions that you're going to make are always going to be like, you're always going to be cashing out early before anything actually happens. And, you know, anytime you see a drop, you'll be kind of, you know, your stop loss will kick in, and, you know, but then the next day is up 70% and you've missed the whole thing. So I think with a market like crypto, you just got to be like, okay, look, everything I've got in here, I have to be prepared to like say goodbye to it, you know? And I think at least with that mentality, you go into things being like, okay, this is a bet. This is just like me betting on UFC. It's not so different, you know, like it can go left and I could be left with nothing. And in understanding that, you have a little bit more of a kind of conviction behind it without you being like, oh shit, you know, what is it doing? Even though to a degree you're still like, I don't want to lose this money. I'm not here to lose money. But you know, you can not be so like, oh man, you know, like, oh, I need to set a stop loss at, you know, 3% or anything like that. You know, it's you gotta be, you know, prepared to lose it, as they say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like, you know, I guess you sound like someone who's had a lot of experience. You sound like an OG in his sort of rocking chair, trying to sort of allay advice to those that may not have been so fortunate to have lived through the 27 crypto cycle. So yeah, what, you know, that's the year we kind of got involved in this, and from that we've had our ups and downs. What would you say are your biggest lessons from that period of time?
Oh, there's been a ton of lessons, man. And you know, there's been a few lessons which I've thought I learned, and then I kind of get back into it and I think, is that still the right lesson? But one of the biggest lessons I've learned is just don't leave. Don't leave. There is no leaving now. There's like, you're in this, you're in it now. This is your wife. You know, like if you never happen to find another lady in your life, crypto is it now. You know, you've married, you're part of it. It doesn't end, you know, simply because, you know, it's a market that's real, and it's actually not going anywhere as a market. There'll be different players for sure. But you only lose when you leave. And I'm not saying you only lose when you sell. I'm not saying that. But if you leave completely, take your eye off the ball, you miss the trends. You miss the latest thing that's going to make you, a millionaire. If you get too caught up in your feelings about, oh shit, I've just lost, a house deposit. Fuck, I just lost a house deposit. You might be like, okay, I'm leaving this alone. But actually, if you kind of stick with it, it comes back. It always comes back. You might have to wait a few years, but it comes back. So that's one of the biggest lessons I learned. Like, just you're not leaving now. There's no leaving. You're part of this. Like, and it's funny because the first cycle for us would have been 2017, 2018, and arguably I left, but I will say I didn't leave. There were some people that left. I won't mention any names. I didn't leave. In 2018, I was buying Bitcoin again, but I had to sell, which made me very sad. It makes me feel like a bit of a dickhead. I did make money, but it was like, oh man, I wish I didn't sell.
Yeah. But
it's, yes. All in all, that would be probably the biggest lesson. I've got a few more. I would now because of there's podcasts and like a ton of YouTube channels. Although you should cut out the noise with all the YouTube channels, you shouldn't be in all of them, but you should find people that do the thing that you kind of value. So like technical analysis, right? There's arguments that technical analysis in crypto doesn't necessarily matter, but it does. It actually does. So I will now listen to one or two people that report on technical analysis, and if they start calling the top, or they start calling like a change in the sentiment, I'm listening. I'll be like, all right, well, it's time to kind of get the umbrella up and get ready for the storm. And that's a big lesson for me, like actually listen to people that are traders and are used to trading all different types of asset classes, but don't listen to everyone. Just find one or two, do some good research, find one or two that are like, okay, this seems quite solid. And, when they call changes, maybe take note and adjust appropriately. What else? What have I got here? In bear markets. Oh, dude. In bear markets are gold. Bear markets are good times. That's what I learned. Bear markets are good times. Like whatever you had when you was in a bull market, when you're in a bear market, forget about what it was. Forget about it. Write it off completely. However, while you're in a bear market, that's when you accumulate as much as you can when things are on the floor. That's another huge lesson that I learned. When things are like, when you start hearing people saying crypto is a scam, when you start seeing like, once mainstream media doesn't talk about it anymore, and once, unfortunately you see people, making crazy decisions to, sell their houses for Bitcoin and then maybe, end up on antidepressants or unfortunately suicide, or when all of this starts coming out and, all the FUD is out there saying, crypto is dead. It's a scam. I lost my whole house on crypto. I lost my whole wife on crypto. That's when you buy. Buy then. That's time to buy. That's what I've learned.
But buy the dip.
Yeah,
buy
the ultimate dip. The dip's on the way down. Is it a dip if it keeps dipping? That's a big question. but if you're prepared to buy the ultimate dip, then you win.
Mm.
That's something I learned.
It's interesting. There's a clear bias for action to buy. It's not as easy for selling.
Oh.
Like you just said, oh, you use buying Bitcoin, and you feel like you should have held on. You should not sell. So is this there's this like thing of like the greater fall theory. Like, is this like the thing of you? When do you? How can you sell? How do you cash out? How do you win? How do you win if you can never really sell? You know,
Yeah.
it's tricky. I kind of feel like perhaps you need to, in my mind, perhaps you need to like go from ground, whatever ground you start. So say ground 0 to ground to level 10, and then you might go down to 2 floors or 3 floors. So you sell like 30%, and you reward yourself with a bit of whatever it is. But yeah, it's tricky. But I definitely agree. I feel like now, been through this cycle and seen where it's gone. The next winter, as they how it's called, is going to be interesting and good opportunity to accumulate. I think one thing that I guess learned was like Bitcoin is king. I kind of knew that anyway, but when don't sort of don't neglect that point and sort of ape into one coin. I think that's another lesson. Like, don't try to ape too much into one coin, especially proportionate to Bitcoin or Ethereum. I think those two are just a lot safer bets. But then again, it's tricky because obviously you're trying to get those big gains.
But it's again like we've survived. This is our second cycle. There are people that are in their fifth cycle, and ultimately you want to be in projects that kind of are in all of the cycles going forward. And Bitcoin, Ethereum now more so. These are likely to be in the next cycles. Now, understandably, because of that, they're hella expensive. Of course they are. Have you got $60,000 or $50,000 just lying around to go and buy one Bitcoin? Not 10, one Bitcoin. Have you just got it lying around? Like under the bed somewhere. But the reason is probably another reason as to why it's that price is because cycle after cycle after cycle is there, so you can choose to invest in, name that coin, whatever coin you want it to be, because it's going to give you feel it's going to give you 100x, but it might not be there in the next cycle. 90% of the coins that I'm in, they might not be there in the next cycle. DeFi might be a thing at this point, but then, if this thing takes a tank and then, 3 years later, there's a new thing, whatever the wave is, I feel that as expensive as it might be, having significant allocation in Bitcoin and Ethereum, that is a good bet. That's a good bet. Everything else, I'm not sure, but those two things there, good bet. So that was a lesson I learned. For a long time, like I was saying to you before, earlier on or late last year, Bitcoin, everything else is shitcoin, and then I eventually got my head around Ethereum. And I was like, okay, Bitcoin and Ethereum, but everything else is shitcoin. It is, and I can look at a white paper, and I can look at a ton of projects, and I can look at smart money and see what they're in, and understand that actually, I can wrap my head around why certain projects are not shit. They're great projects. They're interesting. They're innovative. They are promising, but the reason why I have to confine them into the realms of shitcoin is because they haven't stood the test of time. They haven't. They're too new. They're too new. It's too hard. There's no verification, whereas Bitcoin, Ethereum, verified, so I can, if that's the case, if these two assets are verified, why don't you have a lot of them? And I do. Bitcoin's my highest holding. And actually I always want it to be my highest holding. If something gets higher, I'll sell some for Bitcoin. And that is probably one of the biggest lessons I learned from 2017. Although, all these coins, these other things show promise, and, could potentially turn you into a millionaire, billionaire really fast. Actually, the thing that is going to keep your money alive are the verified projects.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. I think like in even in 2017, I was thinking, well, what is the purpose of this? Why do any of these projects need a public, ledger, which is blockchain? So 99% of this stuff is like, it's vaporware. It's kind of like it's great theory. It looks good. But yeah, it doesn't need to be this token that's traded. I think, it's going to be interesting how this evolves. Yeah. But one thing I also learned is that, narratives sell. So, you kind of ride those waves, almost, sure. Sure. But yeah, Bitcoin, Ethereum, king.
All right. Okay, cool. You brought up this thing, which I know I brought up, which is the selling part. It's the selling part, which is always a tricky part, right? I think I had some Bitcoin, and before 2020 pandemic, I sold quite a bit of it. And I sold at a profit, but it was like, compared to where it is now, it doesn't, it's hardly, anything to write home about. The truth is, you can't know when there is a top. You just can't know. You don't know. And I think the way in which you start cashing out, well, now you have mechanisms that you can maybe like kind of, borrow against your Bitcoin or Ethereum, or, make your, Bitcoin and Ethereum do some interesting stuff so that you don't actually really have to sell any of it, which is actually probably the best way to go about it. But if you did have to sell some, I mean, I'd like to think that you would have a list of things that you want in life, right? So whether it be a house for you and your family, or a house and a holiday home, or like, I don't know, you want a particular business, or, even if you want, I don't know, some random bed, that is super big. I don't know. The more of these things, yeah. I mean, I've got this idea for a huge bed, bro. Huge. I think if you start to have those things written down in down somewhere, or or in your mind, it gets easier to sell, because then you could be like, all right, I can afford that now. Let me buy that. Or if I have a particular lifestyle that I want to live, I want to have X amount for your pension, or you want to leave X amount to your kids. Once you start making those targets for yourself, then you could start to plan, oh yeah, all right, I've got enough now I can sell. It's all, I think most of it is about making targets and being disciplined, and not letting greed like kind of dictate to you what you're doing here. Make a plan, stick to it. And I think that way, even though there's a chance you can make a lot more money, that way is the way that you win in this. You know, you don't have to max out your opportunity here. Like, you have to just get the things that you want. You know, if you're able to get the things that you want from this particular game, then you win. It's like any other game. You know, you don't have to be the best player. You don't have to get high score on the leaderboard. You just have to win. So, you know, it's part of it is that too, in my opinion.
Yeah. I agree. You don't need to get all the houses on all the streets, but you know, target what your goals are, and as you can check them off, that's like a feel good factor. It keeps you going, right?
100, man. 100. And you know, it's funny because I think it's a British thing more than anything else. Maybe it's an American thing. Maybe it's a Western thing. No, it's not a Western thing. British, American, because the Americans have an American dream about this idea of having the house. You know, like, that's the end. That's the end of the game. You know, you buy a house, you've won. That's the end of the game. You've completed the whole game, right? But that's not everybody's game. That's not everybody's game. And actually, there are a ton of other games to play. And you know, for me at least, you know, having a house is just, you know, somewhere I could lay my head. You know, I already got one of those. You know, you don't necessarily have to own it, but even if you did own it, like, do you want 10 of them? You know, you know, like, what is it that you're doing this for? And I think, you know, that's a bigger philosophical question, you know, for all the actions in your life. But I think it makes more sense for people to be like, for anybody who's investing in their future, to have the answer to that question. Why are you doing this? You know, like, if you can answer that question definitively, then it's easier to know when to cash out, you know, because, you know, you've reached your target now. So, yeah, you're done. You won. It's the end.
The end. I think, yeah, it's easy to say, harder to do, because it's like, as we mentioned before, it's like a drug, right? This is it's addictive. You know, where else are you going to put your money? That's seemingly more productive than this space. So there's never, for me, I don't feel like there's ever quite an end. As you even alluded to yourself, you'll never come out of it. It's just at which points and what sort of milestones can you reward yourself, and what are those rewards going to be? You know, I think that's kind of the key thing there. I mean, ideally, you know, if you say to yourself, when I can take 20% of my portfolio, and that can get me milestone 1, which is a car or a house or some object, whatever it is, and then you're still in the game, and then each time you get to another milestone, 20% can equal another reward type thing, or some percentage. Then that could also pretty much work.
Yeah. Agreed. It can for sure. I think also, you know, I think we had this conversation in Colombia once, right? I think, funny enough, it was 2018 when, you know, crypto was on its way out, but, you know, we didn't know it at the time. And you know, I was saying, oh yeah, well, I'd be set with, you know, I think the number was quite low. I think it was like a couple of $1 million, something like that. And I'd be like, that's it for me. And, you know, I think about what I said earlier on in the podcast. You know, there is no leaving crypto, but I want the reason for me to stay in crypto is because it's the future. You know, you want to be part of the future. You don't want to be like, you know, part of some dead industry that's not going anywhere. You want to be part of something that's the future. And the reason you want to be part of it is because it's the future, as opposed to because it's, you know, a means for me to get the things I want. So I think once if you're quite definitive in the things that you want, then the reason why you stay in things is I don't know, they're a lot less motivated by kind of like monetary gain, which then you can develop it's easier to remain passionate and focused. And for me personally, I don't want too many things materially. There just aren't that many things I really want. Like I'm not a fashionable dude. Like I might buy a couple of things here and there, but that's it. As for cars, I like cars. I like some decent cars, but I'd only really buy a Ferrari if I'm honest. As for houses, I even thought about houses, man. I don't really want that much space. I kind of like succinct, kind of small, but enough so that there could be a little party, but nothing so that I have to worry about how the fuck am I going to clean all of this,
Yeah, that's a headache.
Yeah. So, and the last thing I want to do is have like 10 houses all around the world that I have to clean or get cleaned. So I think, I'd like to get to a point, and I know I'm, going on a bit, but I'd like to get to a point where actually, I don't have to worry about money. That's it. And because I don't have that much stuff that I actually want, I don't think that's very far away, really. It's not that hard to achieve. And even, I've got a son, and I think he can fall into that quite easily. Whatever woman I manage to run myself into, just give her some food and tell her, yeah, you gotta be happy with that. That's it. A whole bottle of wine, bro. A whole bottle of wine.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, on that note, I think we call it a day.
Probably,
how about you?
Probably a good idea, bro. I can't lie. It's probably a good idea.
All right. Well, I would ask you if you have any final words, but I think we've already heard them. So, guys, ladies and gentlemen, super thanks for listening to another episode of This Is Your Life, Aaron. And and we'll see you next time. Monologue there, bro. Like, he was on time.
What's happening? I don't know what's happening.